Okay, we're back. So we left off yesterday talking about the forces on a propeller, right? 5 forces.
Yep.
Which is the greatest force of all? Centrifugal. Of course, torque bending force is going to bend the blades in the opposite direction. Thrust bending force forward. Aerodynamic twisting force tends to cause the propeller go to
Higher.
and centrifugal tends to make it go to low blade angle. Okay. There are a lot of different. I'm not going to write a whole lot of notes on this because I wrote way too much and it's just not going to be overly relevant, I think. I don't know. You'll figure it out. I just threw this in there because I thought it was cool. Except when it does that.
Why does it have the little
Tips.
The cute.
They're
Oh.
Q-tips. Like winglets on a prop.
It's a cheap prop.
Yeah. I don't really see that much anymore. They did it for a while, but I don't know. I would notice that. Also, you will see propeller tips that look like that when they're all scraped up.
Yeah, they're trying to mill grass.
That means that they did a prop strike.
Yeah.
So it looks exactly the same. So if it looks like that and it's not scraped up, they're Q-tips. If it looks like that and they're scratched, prop strike.
So if you do a prop strike, just go out there and paint it real quick.
Sand and polish. It's Q-tip. Everybody.
You gotta sand it off.
All right. So we're going to do this, are we? We'll go to this one then. Propeller clearances. All right, prop clearances. Prop clearances. Now this is kind of a funny thing because prop clearances are listed under FAR Part 23.925. And you know, just for fun, we can go over here to let's see, FAR 23. FAR 23. Dot 925?
925.
925. Let me see. I wonder if that's. There we go. This is the current FARs. Yeah, it's not there. What?
Are you recording?
Huh?
Yeah, you missed it. Jesus.
So there's no 23 part 925 anymore.
Oh,
Why isn't there?
It just poof, went away. So yeah, I was, did my lecture notes a couple years ago. I'm like, I just want to look that up again, and no, it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, you can go back and find it. Yeah, here's go back and it's there, but you go to the current FARs, it's not there, which is this one here at ecfr.gov. But you still get these questions asked on your Q&As, I noticed.
well.
Yeah. So you gotta kind of at least understand them. I'm not a big fan of memorizing this stuff because I don't actually build airplanes for a living, or design them, I should say. So why? We gotta have proper clearance, right? Proper clearance. What happens if you don't have proper clearance? He'll strike something. And that's not good. So proper clearance is necessary. Well, prevent prop damage, if nothing else. See, this is where I'm writing too much damage. Prop damage. Reduce aerodynamic interference. All right, so if we look at this, let's see, tricycle gear. I should say, what's conventional geared aircraft?
2 wheels.
Tail wheel. That's conventional. That was first, so it's conventional. Then they have the tricycle.
Auto land.
Yeah.
Cessna called it.
Not quite so much in the 182. The auto crash. Tricycle gear. All right. Minimum. 7 inches between tip and ground. That ain't much. In fact, I would rather not have that. So when I say 7 inches, you should be asking yourself, 7 inches when? Because don't most gear have a shock strut?
Mm-hmm.
So is that 7 inches with the shock strut inflated, deflated, tire? So it's
Yes.
Tire flat.
it's at taxi / takeoff position with gear statically deflected. What does statically deflected mean?
Deflected slightly.
It's the deflection you would get from a standard weight of the aircraft. Nothing weird, standard loadout of the aircraft. So that would mean the aircraft is serviced properly. Some aircraft have shock struts on the main gear too. Some gear don't. Cessnas don't. They just have spring gear. A lot of airplanes have spring gear. Most low wing do not. Most low wing have shock struts. So it's got to be just normal static deflection, which means that you've serviced the shock struts normally, loaded the aircraft in a normal manner up to including the gross weight, and when all is said and done and it's loaded properly and you're on the ground, you'd be able to go out there and measure it. You should have at least
7 inches.
7 inches. Well, what happens if you blow a tire or land hard and blow the tire and the seals out of the shock strut?
So you're done.
Well, at that point, you only have to have positive clearance is what they're looking for. So, yeah. Let's see. So, or positive clearance. With strut deflated and critical tire blown. What's the critical tire? It's the one you want to use. It means the one that makes it the worst. Whichever one makes your situation the worst is called the critical tire. Let's see. Tail wheel. Minimum, max, what? Well, yeah, okay, minimum 9 inches. Nice tail wheel, it sits this way, have more clearance than a tricycle that sits this way.
Because when the tail comes up.
Because when you're getting ready to take off, you bring the tail up.
Yeah.
And then you go this way. So that tail's going to come up, prop's going to go down. So 9 inches when?
When it's on the ground.
Taxi takeoff position with gear deflected.
What?
The same goes out.
So taxi, what's the takeoff position?
Tails out.
Tail up?
I'd say tail's up.
Yeah, tail
On
up.
taxi?
Well, taxi / takeoff. I don't
Whichever
know.
one's worse.
That would be worse.
It'd be worse if you bring the tail up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the words I have here. So if I was designing it, I would probably, well, first somebody wanted to argue with me and say, well, FAR 23925 is no longer applicable. So a lot of things went to ASTM standards. So, and that's what you're seeing. I guess I should explain that. Especially when you get into light sport aircraft now. I think this is what kicked it off. Is light sport, like the Icon. I don't even think they build that. By the way, you guys know Tony in the other class? He test flies for Icon. So, cool guy. So these light sport aircraft, they're not built under FAA categories anymore. So it used to be, you build an airplane, FAA gives you the rules, Part 23, you got to comply with all this. What's my clearance for the prop? What is this? How's that? You know, what is the oil cap going to say? On and on and on. And they've really removed a lot of this stuff, and the FAA has gone to, well, for light sport, ASTM, which stands for what? American Society of Testing Materials. And the FAA basically says, well, you know what? You're the engineer. You design it and bring us the design and tell us it works. We just want to see it make sense, I guess. Kind of a thing. FAA doesn't say stuff like that. It makes sense. But anyway, you get to design it, and as long as it's safe and it meets ASTM standards, which would be engineering standards, stresses, and things like that, then you're good to go. In fact, that's a weird thing because, my aircraft, if I want to replace a bolt, where do I have to go? I had to get a certified bolt. I got to get an MS bolt or an AN bolt. But if I had a light sport, like an Icon, and I need a new bolt, where can I go? Ace Hardware. Yeah. In fact, I guess I could argue maybe a little bit to put an AM bolt will be incorrect because those aren't STM standards. You have to go get an SAE bolt. So you have to go to Ace Hardware and get an SAE grade whatever bolt. So it's like, huh?
Here is buy a license.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people buy them.
Parts are cheaper, I'm sure. But
Save money, SeaWorld.
All right, let's see. A seaplane.
That's more than no plane.
18 inches from tip to water. Why so much?
Because
Wait,
water
there's
splashes
water.
up.
Yeah, that water really plays that kind of plane on the prop. So, got the splashing. Structural clearances. So this stuff cracks me up. 1 inch radially between tip and airplane structure. Where would that be? What's an example of that?
337.
Twin.
By the fuselage.
Twin between the props and the fuselage. 1 inch.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Blade stretches in your
Yeah, 0.5 longitudinally between blades or cuffs. That's that thing that goes over the blade. And stationary parts. Longitudinally means what? 4 aft, side to side?
Side to side.
I think that'd be laterally.
Forward aft.
4 and aft. So, half an inch between your prop spinning and the cowling behind it. And then positive clearance. Between other rotating parts of the prop, spinner, stationary parts of the airplane. So positive clearance, we'll say for other parts, like the spinner. Hey, question for you. Let's just say that for some reason, which wouldn't be that uncommon, you had to change out the spinner on the airplane. And you go to put the spinner on, and the spinner rubs just slightly against the propeller. Would that meet the requirement for positive clearance? What would you do?
Take it off, get a new one.
Well, you take it off, get a new one. It comes back, does the same thing. Take it off, put a new one, does the same thing. They're all made on a fixture, so they're all gonna be about the same.
Check the manual.
Manual, this is put a new spinner on.
Is that what it says?
Huh?
Is that what the manual says?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's sweet.
A lot of times it says install in reverse of removal.
Oh.
If you think manuals tell you how to do everything, you are sadly mistaken. Yes, often it is. Installation is reverse of removal. And well, what are you going to do?
Make clear ups.
Make some clearance. Where would you make the clearance? In that brand new spinner? Or that well-used prop? Well, unfortunately, I'm familiar with a plane on the other side of the field here where somebody decided to just make clearance. And I think they just took a file and shoved it between a burr and either shoved it between the spinner and the prop and just ran it up and down and let the clearance figure itself out. That cost them $15,000
Damn.
and a year's worth of lost revenue. Now they're nicer than I am because I would have went after whoever did that. But, so don't grind on props. Should I write that? Do not grind on props. All right. All right. 10 prop configurations. All right. I don't need to. Okay. There's our clearance. So tail wheel airplane's got to have 9 inches. Tricycle is 7, 18 inches on a seaplane, 1 inch between the prop and the fuselage on a twin, and only ½ inch clearance between other parts of the aircraft. And positive clearance between things like the spinner and stuff like that. All right. Hello?
Oh, look how cute.
All right, so this is
I did have a question.
this is not a question and answer time.
No. So back to what you were talking about the tail wheel. So
Yeah.
when you said the minimum 9 inches.
Yeah.
And then taxi takeoff position with gears.
Yeah.
Is that also with the tail? Like you said something about the tail being off ground.
I believe that it would be like that, whichever's worse. Whatever makes the prop closest to the ground, that's where you got to measure it. Because it would not suit to have the airplane sitting like this and go, well, that's 9 inches, and then roll out and bring it up, and it's like, oh, that was
That's happened.
that was a little.
I couldn't put my thinking under there.
So, yeah, when the clearances get too close, we have a saying, either wear in or wear out. So, all right, types of prop configurations. So a standard configuration is called
Tractor.
a tractor configuration. So I pulled up a picture of an air tractor. Is this what you guys run?
Yeah, air tractors.
They're tractors, but not these old timey ones with radios.
No.
Yeah, they have
We
big
have
old turbines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So air tractor.
And
So
ours look a lot cuter than that.
okay, well you should bring me a picture. I stole this from Physgo or something info.net. So all right. So all right, we have a tractor. You write that down. I'm not gonna write that down. We have pushers. What airplane is this?
Icon.
That's the Icon's icon. I5, yeah.
A5. Says on top of it.
I5. A5. I5 is the road I take to get home. So A5.
Why does it look like that?
Why do they look like that? I don't know.
They designed it that way.
Because that's really,
Jet ski.
they're really cool. Yeah, it does look like a jet ski front. And the wings fold up. You can put it on a trailer, take it home. Okay. Although this one here that looks like a VW bus to me.
Yeah. Let's look like CB.
Check out the.
Yeah, it's C6.
There's one of those for sale right now.
I think that honestly, if we scrolled in right there, who's flying it? It's Gru. I never realized that. You'd have to be
You
a.
said one of them's for sale?
On Marketplace right now.
What is this one?
Are you gonna buy it?
Really?
Yeah. It's on
That tail
Marketplace.
number?
Not that tail number.
Okay.
Oh, a CB. I did
Yeah.
see the CB that was
Yeah.
for sale. It's over at Davis.
Davis.
Yeah. Did you talk to? I think I know the people who are selling it.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Evan. He knows everybody over there.
I don't know if I can get that.
So
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that looks pretty.
they're pretty cool.
They're
pretty cool.
looking, yeah.
It's funky.
It does. Yeah. It looks like something. If you're not familiar with Gru, Despicable Me. He would
Looks
fly.
like something wants to fall out of the sky.
All right.
Oh, that's
Push pull. Got one on the front, one on the back. What airplane is this?
337.
Wrong and wrong.
Oh, is this a 327?
It's an O2
Oh.
military version. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Russian military.
I always thought these were kind of cool. Even as a mechanic, the thing I hate about them is they have Continental IO 360s, which is the least robust Continental ever made. You're only talking about 180 horsepower engines. They don't do real well with the single engine out, but it is centerline thrust. And I want to say I read something the other day when they first came out, you didn't even really need a twin rating. But now you need an inline thrust twin rating.
How's the noise having the engines?
It's a little obnoxious.
When
We'll talk
I
about
do-
that. These have synchro phasers on them.
Yeah.
So, but I always thought they were kind of cool. Okay, yeah. All right, so those are the prop configurations.
Just to
3.
Pusher, puller.
Push, pull, and combine it. You can think of another one, let me know.
extra credit.
Yep,
Bluetooth.
where it counts.
Wait, going
Yeah.
back to the clearance with the spinner. So the solution is to
Not grind the $15,000 propeller. If you grind on the propeller, you have to throw it away.
so then you would grind on the spinner or put a new spinner on.
Yes.
Buy on the $5,000 spinner.
It's cheaper. The cheaper, less critical.
Well, okay, to answer the question in detail, if you have a clearance problem between a new spinner and a propeller, you should ask yourself, why do I have a clearance? Is it the right prop? Is it the right spinner? Sometimes they come without holes, and if you drill the holes and then it does it and then it rubs, well, then you put the holes in the wrong spot. So you should fit it and drill a hole. I don't like drilling holes in new spinners. They're very, very expensive, and if you miss a hole, then spinners are crazy expensive. I mean, it wouldn't be unreasonable if somebody said, "Yeah, I had to buy a new spinner," and it was like $12,000. Be like, "Yeah, it's not what they run." I would not think you could find a new one for less than $5,000 for anything. I think a 152 spinner would be the cheapest one. I would think 8. Yeah. Okay, so types of props, right? So we already know about this one. This is the fixed pitch prop. Fixed pitch prop. Okay. Can you change the pitch on a fixed pitch prop?
No.
You can't.
But a repair station.
A repair station can. So they can repitch it. This pitch, rigid. But the blades don't adjust in flight. That'll be a very important point. Yes. We good? All right. We have the ground adjustable propellers, which means that you can adjust them on the ground. So mechanics can do that. You guys will have a project where you are able to do that. And so you set the blade angles. And you have to be careful, because if you miss the blade angles, like you get this one over here has more pitch than this one over here, airplane will go in circles because of that. Pitch on the side. Okay, it wouldn't, because the prop goes like this. It'll just shake like crazy. All right, so for those of you who aren't paying attention, would it really go? Yeah. That's how they make race planes. The one on the left, it gets, anyway. All right, ground adjustable. So we have the blades, and inside the blades you have a 2-piece hub. Hub has a split down the center line. It's 2-piece because it's got a clamp around the blade.
What's the torque on this? Or is there a torque?
I'm sure there's.
Oh, there's a torque.
That's probably the old one.
I will tell you about torque in a little bit, I think. All right, that's our ground adjustable. Talk about that a little bit later. The Ivo prop. That photo is literally this propeller. If you like history at all, there's some really interesting history about the Ivo prop. It's a guy who escaped Russia, developed the propeller, and like used it to escape or something. Carbon fiber, they're flexible-ish. They are ground adjustable. So when you turn this giant nut right here, see up in the picture,
Probably made it out of a ski or something.
it will actually put a torque on the blades and twist them a little bit. It sounds like, I've done it a time or two, it sounds like you're breaking them. This cracks all the way down, like, oh, that doesn't sound good. So, all right, so we have fixed pitch, ground adjustable. Another type of ground adjustable that you're starting to see more of, warp drive props you're going to find on home builds, light sport, Rotax engines.
Sounds cool.
You would just undo the clamps, rotate the blade where you want it, reset the clamps. Obviously, you have to make sure all of the blades are the right angle. We'll talk about that. All right, then we get into 2-speed propellers. 2-speed. High pitch, low pitch.
Two-speed transmission.
You have a control in the cockpit, high pitch, low pitch. Why would I want to go high pitch, low pitch?
Take off.
Take off cruise.
Okay, low pitch for
Take off.
takeoff because it's going to give more horsepower because the engine's going to speed up more. Once I get up, cruise, pull the engine RPM back, click it into
High.
high pitch. All right, follow me so far? We're going to talk about these more in detail. So, fixed pitch, ground adjustable,
Constants.
2-speed, variable pitch. This is the Beach Roby propeller. And you can see that it's got this gear mechanism up here. We'll talk more about this in the next section. But there was a switch or a crank in the cockpit. See, you guys are too young to remember. This is how we used to have to roll the windows down the car. You just take that and put it in front of you, a little crank. And it would crank this little pinion right there, which would crank this gear, which would adjust the propeller blades. Not constant speed, because you would just adjust whatever. You'd set your power and then adjust your blade till you got the RPM you wanted.
They still do that on Fords.
What's that?
They still do that on Fords.
On
The
Fords?
crank.
All right, so that's the adjustable. We call it adjustable propeller.
Variable pitch.
So it'd be after 2-speed, the adjustable.
This is 2-speed, and then adjustable or adjustable prop. Then you have the automatic propeller. I will forever be irritated that I actually had one of these here and somebody wanted it more than I did. So they took it. This is the Compers aromatic propeller. This one actually, and so you can see it's on a little Aranca Chief, I think. It is not because it looks like a corrugated skin. But anyway, it's on a little airplane. It is not pilot adjustable at all. It can sense aerodynamic loading and RPM and speed and adjust to give you the optimum blade angle. There's a place that still makes them, although they're not STC'd anymore.
Are they lubricated with engine oil or?
It's internally lubricated.
Okay.
I'll talk more about it. Then we get into the constant speed.
Now we're okay.
All right, so then we get the constant speed, which is automatically adjusted by the pilot. Well, pilot sets the engine speed. The propeller will automatically adjust using a propeller governor up there in the picture to keep an exact set RPM. So we're going to talk about all of those in a little more detail. And then we can take one more step from the constant speed to the constant speed feathering propeller, which is constant speed with a little bit more to it. And you can see that airplane, the blades have stopped, they're into the wind, they have feathered out. Oh, I forgot. What's that funny looking prop?
Test prop.
That's Test Club. Test Club. All right, want to watch the Sensenich video?
Yeah.
All right.
How it's made.
You know what? We'll watch that when we come back from our break. Which one? All right. I think I covered a lot of this right here.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we're staying.
Yeah, but we didn't do all this.
Okay, so talking about fixed pitch props. More depth, more detail. Okay, fixed pitch props. Well, they're going to come in either, well, originally they were wood. And then we ran out of wood.
When the U.S. Forest Service was made.
It was like an old Steve Martin joke. Remember when the Earth blew up and we didn't tell the stupid people, but we took them along with? I mean, you guys remember, right? So it's implying that I know. Idiocracy there. All right, so go over here. Let's see here. We'll go fixed pitch props. We're going to talk about those, which would be fixed. Fixed pitch props. Let's see. Originally, they were all made out of wood, because that's what we had mostly. several laminations of pretty straight grain wood. You guys will be studying wood with, I think, Larry in second year when you get there. But you want straight grain. So laminations means you take a whole bunch of them and you put them together. Actually, we should watch the video. Because, stop.
And we're back.
All right, we've watched the video. All right, fixed pitch props. Originally, props were wood. Okay, so we're talking about wood props. Made with several laminations of straight grain wood. Honestly, they just go out to a pallet yard. Probably see you guys. Just got a couple old pallets. Make a prop out of them. Let me see. In that one, they put fiberglass over the whole thing in the video, but that's typically not what it looks like. So almost always the tip, and just the tip fabric is applied to outboard about 12 to 15 inches. This adds reinforcing strength. To the tips. It is then varnished, and metal tipping is applied. So this metal tipping is either going to be brass, maybe stainless, or Manil. What do we have it on there for?
Stone chips.
Stone chips, little rocks, protect the wood. It is attached, the brass, stainless, or Manil attached with screws. In the thicker sections. And rivets in the thinner sections. And then the screws and rivets. Okay, let's slow down here. Screws and rivets are safetied with solder. You may see small holes. About a number 60 drill. That's pretty small. Drilled into metal tip. To allow moisture to escape. So, wood props, there's some benefits and some pros and cons to them. I would say probably one of the biggest benefits these days is you can actually get one. Metal props are really, really hard to find fixed pitch. At the IA seminar I went to, the people doing it had mentioned that, and I don't know how true this is, so I'm blaming it on them, that Alcoa, who is pretty much one of the largest aluminum providers in the world, and some other one said you can't use our aluminum for fixed pitch props.
Wow.
Now, why that and a constant speed they would allow, I don't know, but fixed pitch props are becoming extremely hard to find and incredibly expensive. Very expensive, very hard. Like I said, plane across the street there. Took them almost a year to get one. So I needed a prop for one of the planes, same customer. And yeah, I was told by Sensenich Macaulay, yeah, 8 months. We have none in stock. You're looking at least 8 months. Jeez, are you guys that backed up? No. What we'll do is we'll wait until about 20 if you want one, then we'll make a run of them.
Wow.
And that's about how long it's or however many. So, you know, props to my son. I told him, man, what are we going to do? He's like, give me a minute. Calls back an hour later. All right, I'll have it sent to you. Well, where'd you find one? England. You got to think bigger. Okay, then. Which is a whole nother story because we didn't handle it. Turned it over to somebody else. And the prop went from here, England to here. They didn't do the proper paperwork, went back to England, sent it back to here. They missed the deadline to pick it up through customs, went back to England, and came back. I know, it entered in the logbook and it was wore out. What do you know? Okay, so pros, you can get it. Another pro, if you have a prop strike, and I've seen prop strikes, many of them with wood propellers. I had one where a customer ran up on top, back of a BMW. I didn't see the BMW, but man, I had a lifetime supply of toothpicks. So lots and lots of toothpicks. And it doesn't damage the engine quite as much. I don't think we had any engine problems. We had to do a full. So there's that. They're lightweight.
They look cool.
What?
They look
They look cool. All right, so downsides. They're a bit of a maintenance pig. You can't just put it on and forget about it like most people do with a metal prop. So I had one customer who he had to keep his Aranca Chief outside down in Clarksburg. He had nice blue boat covers made that would slide over it. Okay, you always have to put it horizontal when you park the airplane.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
because then water will
More
seep
mystery.
into
Yep, it's like this. Water's going to go down and make this blade heavy and shake the airplane when you start it up. So you got to keep it level balance, right? You got to keep the UV rays off of it. You have to varnish it from time to time, and you have to apply the varnish very equally to both sides. In fact, that's how you can balance these. Add a little varnish to one side that's light. So if you're not careful with the varnish, you're going to put a prop out of balance. The other thing is constant maintenance with the torquing. So it is, I had this in here somewhere.
Burn the prop.
Yeah, if your the bolts, well, the prop is going to swell. Okay, so if you torque it up too tight, I've seen somebody do this. You know, you have to go in a star pattern when you tighten stuff up, which is probably why a lot of your pumps over there are leaking. You're not tightening, you're tightening one real tight, and then try tightening up in a star pattern and bring the seal in. All right, so we had somebody, I don't remember what the story, but I just got to see the aftermath. Went to bolt it up, and we're tightening this one up first, torqued it all the way to the maximum, and it just crushed the prop. So ruined the prop, just that fast. So
Did you hear it cracking or what?
I don't know. I think that's how we ended up with the customer. Like, I'm not letting that guy work on my plane anymore, so I'm not good. So, but the one customer I had, he would have me do it at least once a month. He would have me go out to his airplane 12 times a year, relax all the torque, and retorque it. And I would go to the minimums. So in the summer, it's going to dry up. The wood contracts and it gets loose, and that looseness will ruin the prop. It'll ruin the bolt holes. It'll rub it, start a fire. I saw something on social media with this prop. I don't know if that's true. The prop would start on fire if it got loose enough, and I kind of hard time with that one.
No,
So
I've heard that. One of the indications is you'll think you're flying over a fire, that you'll smell burning wood.
okay, start smoldering. So maybe it's true, but yeah. So you have
I don't know about catching on fire.
yeah, but you do have to maintain them that way. Do the varnish, environmental protections. Anyway, yeah. Let's see, what else I got? All right, 13. I think it's 14. All right, metal props
So checking torque, is it checking it annually or like constant?
every month.
Every month.
Every month.
Yeah, constantly. It's like I'm just standing there. So it was my job. I just stood
Well,
there.
that's not what you said. Yeah.
No, it's like once a month he would call me up and say, Kevin, go do the prop. So I'd go out there. On on a wooden prop on this particular engine, it had the prop hub,
Mhm.
and so it had a taper shaft. This is another class. Remember this? It's had the prop hub with the bolts, and it's not safety wired. It's cotter pin. So I popped the cotter pins out, back off all the castellated nuts, and then put them back on finger tight, and then set my torque wrench to like 20 inch-pounds, and I would increase it in a star pattern 5 or 6 times till I got to the low. It's very low torque. I want to say it was 180 inch-pounds or something less than that. It was really low. They're not big bolts, and it's wood. And then recotter pin. He's good for another 4 weeks, and then he called me up 4 weeks later and asked me to do it again.
How much did the services like that cost, Tim?
I don't know.
I know, like simple jobs like that.
I don't know what they
Still
charged. I
aviation.
just took 30 minutes to go out there and
Yeah.
do it, so I don't know.
You charge them, don't you?
Huh?
You charge them, don't you?
Our shop.
Well, I was an
Please,
employee.
man.
It wasn't my
Oh,
shop.
I
So.
thought you meant.
At least.
Right,
No, if it's my shop. I charge him an hour.
Yeah, an hour.
yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we have metal props. Metal props. And of course, we're still talking about fixed pitch. So I don't know of anything that is not aluminum. I'm only aware of one steel propeller ever made in any configuration, and it's our ground adjustable. So otherwise, all these, they're all aluminum. It's all got the same nomenclature. They make it, if you can imagine how they made a wood one, you can use a CNC and make a metal one. They are thinner, more efficient airfoil. That's an important one. A lot of that is, or better cooling, some better engine cooling. Due to airfoil shape at the hub. And they would need less maintenance because you don't have to go out there and take the prop bolts off. In fact, you don't want to. There are really two manufacturers of metal props, fixed pitch props. That would be Sensenich, same one that make the wood ones, and Macaulay. Are the only two I can think of that make metal props. And Hartzell doesn't make fixed pitch props. Never seen one. When you take, there is some service instructions, there's some stuff in the maintenance manuals that say the effect it's highly recommended, or you should have the bolts replaced or magnafluxed each removal. So if you're removing them often, you'll be magnafluxing them a lot. So you don't just go take them off just for fun. So, but of course, metal props, you'll find that you are constantly dressing out the leading edge, taking little chips and nicks from the leading edge and painting, missing paint, where you just don't do that with the wood ones and the brass for whatever reason. I don't know.
Would you ultrasound the wood props at all?
Well, no, but once a year we call Terminex can come out and check for termites.
So smart.
We didn't really.
Send by my plane while you're out.
I know. All right, break.